Morning, guys. Dr. Ken Neuberg again. Got a new tip for you. You're going to really like this one. You know, after all the years I've been indoctrinating hunters to pay strict attention to wind direction when hunting whitetails, especially when hunting older bucks, I'm going to, I'm going to back up a little bit and tell you about how to deal with having to travel downwind. You know, when you think about it, whitetails, they prefer to walk into the wind wherever they're going so they can smell things ahead, and keep from getting into trouble with hunters or wolves or whatever. But, if that was the only direction they traveled, and since our prevailing wind is from the west, years ago, all of our whitetails would be standing on the beach along the Pacific Ocean. But they don't do that. Undisturbed whitetails will pretty much, and they get disturbed by things like coyotes and wolves and hunters and whatnot, but if they're not bothered, they spend most of their time within a square mile. And so what that means that wherever they travel in a day, half of the time they got to go downwind to get to where they started from. So, and they do it well, much better than we do it. But they realize, not being able to use their nose when they're traveling downwind, they have to be extra cautious. They have to be listening very carefully, and that's why if it's really windy and there's a lot of noise, they might even skip a feeding cycle because it's too dangerous to move around not being able to hear everything. Well, anyway, us hunters have the same problem, wherever we travel in the woods during the hunting season, if it's downwind, or upwind rather, and we try to do that, like I've been telling you, you always want to approach from downwind and sit downwind or crosswind of any spot where you expect to see a deer, a big buck for example, when you're standing there. Well, that's fine, but what about going back? And in my best, what I consider my very best hunting method, it's most buck effective, mature buck effective, opportunistic stand hunting. Every day, starting about day 3, we travel along a specific route, an oval-shaped route in a square mile, looking for very fresh tracks and droppings of a big buck. And during that period, you're going to have to travel downwind. And a good part of that trail. But it won't matter if you do things right. So sometimes going downwind provides you with a great advantage. And I'm going to tell you a little about how to get that advantage. But right now, before we get started, I want to mention a lot to do with this particular tip is not in my new book. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and I haven't had to do any research really because it all makes so much sense. There's so much logic with what I'm going to tell you. But I've touched on it here and there, like when using the gentle nudge hunting method, that small group method I talked about a while back. And then also when flanking tracks of a big buck heading to an area ahead of you, like a feeding area, and wanting to stay away from, walking right into them when you get to the close to the feeding area. You want to be over one side or the other, but that's covered to some extent. But there's more in here. Traveling downwind can provide you with a huge advantage if you're hunting in an area where there's a lot of other hunters, things like that. So, but anyway, the basic stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here that deals with this that I won't talk about today. I've already covered that well in my book. And so, anyway, now I've got about, almost 5 million minutes of you guys watching my YouTube presentations and a huge number of my subscribers already buying my 10th edition. They're covered now, those guys. A along with what I'm going to tell you today, things like that, boy, you're really getting a heck of an education, and most of you realize it. I get emails from you guys all the time, and I really appreciate it, really nice emails, and it's kind of fun reading them. And when I get questions, I try to answer them soon, so I always do that. But anyway, now, before we get started, I want to mention, I have to do that, I wish after we're done here, you will subscribe to my YouTube account, press on that red button down below here, and then also press on that little thumbs up button, and appreciate it. Now, let's get busy. Let's say, I can remember, it happens in my deer camp a lot, where every one of us in my deer camp has got a very special stand site they want to use opening morning. Oh, this was the best one. That great buck size. It's this buck that's hanging around there. It's got 4-inch tracks and 1-inch droppings, and he's big, boy. When I get him, I know he's going to be a big one, probably for the wall. Anyway, he's a big buck, and we can't wait to hunt there. And but like my son Ken a few years ago, he was suffering under this kind of problem. What he wanted was the west or northwest wind, and the wind kept blowing from the southeast. To go to that stand site along the trail he planned to use, it would have been going directly downwind. Bad. I mean, that would probably kill, just doing it once would probably kill the effectiveness of that stand site within minutes. The first day you try that, hope you're going to be lucky and get there without the buck knowing it. I mean, that's too risky. So he didn't go. He had to wait and suffer. Oh, wake up in the morning, the wind's from the southeast, and oh, geez, when am I going to get there? Well, finally, the next day, it switched to the northwest. He got there, 9:15, he got the buck, biggest buck on his wall today. By waiting, he was rewarded. But there have been times when I've been going through the same problem, and like there was one big buck I was just going away to hunt some years ago, and it was, the hunting season began on Saturday. Here was Thursday, and I still didn't have a favorable wind. And, it was a good mile, well over a mile to that stand site from our camp, all rugged woods, thick cover, that kind of stuff. And that kind of thing where you just decide, well, I'll go there some other way, Well, there have been other times like that as well. I'll tell you about that buck in a little while here. But there have been other bucks like that as well. And so I start thinking about that. You don't have to wait if you can set things up properly. Like, for example, let's say that one I just talked about. If I had decided, well, if the wind isn't right, let's say it's still from the south, and my stand site that I want to use is on the east end, close to a little watering spot where this buck could feed out his feeding there, and then he'd go to drink water before he'd head back to his bedding there, going up a high ridge to a high hill. But anyway, I knew that, and if I had decided, well, I don't want to be stuck here like in the past. Well, what I would do is create an alternate route for getting there. Like creating a route that would keep me well to one side or the other. In this case, it would have to been to the north, on the north side. 200 yards north of the trail I plan to use. And why 200 yards? Because when a whitetail smells you, gets your sense on the wind, airborne sense, they can tell how far away you are. It might seem amazing, but it's true. And if you're 200 yards or more away, they aren't going to pay any attention. Well, I don't have to worry about that hunter. No problem. I'm just going to keep eating here and forget them. So if you're 50 yards away, that can be real bad. He smells you, oh, he's close. Now he's worried. He's going to move. He'll start moving away right away. You don't want to be close. So stay well over to one side. So if I had done this, I could have gone straight downwind until I was crosswind of that stand. And then get to a point, you know, and I know the topography of the area, what everything looks like there. But I would set this up beforehand anyway. Oh, you say, here's my stand, now in case this happens, I'm gonna make a trail 200 yards north. And then I get about 200 yards away, and then I'm gonna head west toward camp from there. So that if I get a steady wind from the south, when I wanna hunt here, I can go down there without that deer knowing me. In fact, within that whole big area, 400 yards or more south of that secondary trail, those deer wouldn't know anything about me, you know, or they wouldn't pay any attention to me. And especially if I walk steady all the way, get that trip to the stand site out of the way quickly. No hunting along the way. Well, you said, well, if you go in the dark, you're not going to hunt anyway, but you don't want to be stopping, because contrary to what you might believe, stopping often while going to a stand site is awful. That's the behavior of a hunting human and even a wolf or a bear. But when a whitetail hears that and he doesn't hear the other sounds that are common to whitetails, like chewing when he's feeding, you know, that chewing is loud. They can hear it. I can hear it. If they don't hear that, and if they don't hear those little snaps, like when they're pulling off grass or biting off browse, if they don't hear that along, that's no deer. Yeah, that's something sneaking. That's a hunter. So you don't want to do it. Just go straight there, no messing around. Then move to your stand site if I've done that, and then go crosswind. Crosswind is as good as downwind to that stand site. I would have been home free. Yeah, just one thing here before I continue. My son John is going to add a graphic showing you, kind of a map of doing something like that. Now, another way you can use that very same thing, downwind going thing, to your advantage is this. If you hunt in an area where there are a lot of other hunters, and that's probably true of 80% of American whitetail hunters, I hunt in Catskill Mountains, I hunt in West Virginia, I hunt in Virginia, Western Virginia, Blue Ridge, anywhere. There's other hunters and public hunting grounds, lands. And you can't know what all those other hunters are doing. But you can take this downwind movement, like I'm talking to you about, to your advantage in places like that. Now, here's kind of the rule. Let's say here's a road or trail going through your hunting area along one side of it. That's used by other hunters to get to this forest where you like to hunt. The only trail or road that they can use to get there with a motorized vehicle of some kind, whether it's a pickup truck or a ATV or a snowmobile, off-trail vehicle, any kind. Any trail like that is where those other hunters are going to come to start hunting in that woods each morning. Now, if you use, let's say you found a place, you want to found a place a quarter to a half mile away. Why that far away from that road? Well, because once you get that far, you're almost alone. There aren't a lot of hunters who want to go that far into a roadless woods for fear of becoming lost. And if they aren't going to want to stay late because they got to get back early before they can still see where they're going. They aren't going to start in the woods till the sun's up, in the morning, so they can see where they're going. Those kind of hunters, they're going to be way over deep in the woods like that. Let's say you found a dandy spot, trails full of tracks of big bucks, other deer, whatever signs you're looking for, whatever kind of deer you want to hunt. But they're out here, this far, Well, don't be afraid of going that far early in the morning before first light. All you have to do is mark your trail there with fluorescent tacks. Now, what I've done for years, just to be careful, maybe so, Well, I never start a tack trail next to a road like I just described. You know, I got headlights going, see those string of tracks going out in the woods, so hunters are gonna take quick advantage of that. A way to go into the woods without getting lost coming back. I use tacks, the white ones are gray, they're gray, on trees. Now, I never start next to the road. Usually what I've got, well, there might be this little bush here I recognize, or a rock or boulder or something by the road, that recognizable landmark. And I'll start there, and I'll, you know, off in the direction where my trail is, might be a big tree sticking out, distinctive tree, like a big spruce tree or pine tree or whatever, oak tree. There it is. You know, if I'm by this rock and I look over there it is. Now, all I have to do is go toward that. No definable trail except maybe a deer trail here. Go to that tree or whatever it is out there. That's your first landmark on the trail. And from there on, there's your tacks about every 10 to 20 yards apart, all the way to your stand. So, now, here's your stand out there. Now, again, you should be, ideally, you should be 200 yards to the left or right of it when you go in the morning in the dark. And then get in there, no mess around, no stopping. As long as you don't stop, those deer ahead of you, hearing you coming, they can hear you walk. You don't even have to be quiet in a situation like this. Just keep going. They're just going to pull aside, watch you go by, and then continue whatever they were doing before you came along. They aren't going to worry about you. The minute you start pausing and looking around and listening, then you've ruined it. So don't do that. Just go in there, and you get to that spot, then you got your turn there, maybe double tacks or a tree. It tells you, here's where I turn, and now here goes your tacks off to the right or to the left to your stand. So there's 200 yards over there. There's your stand. So now what you did, you got behind all this area that other hunters are going to be coming into. And you know, these deer, well, they're, you know, not only are they going to be physically pushed in your direction, but they gravitate toward where it's real quiet. You know, there are no gunshots, no human voices, no brush snapping, none of that stuff going on. They're going to be going back there toward you no matter what. Especially if there's fresh signs in that area. Well, you know, when you scouted there, boy, deer have been spending time here. So, you know, your odds of taking a deer when you do this are going to be infinitely greater than they would be otherwise. So, you know, bucks do this all the time, this kind of thing, you know. Older deer, older bucks, you know, they hardly go anywhere in the woods without having other deer ahead of them, like a doe with a fawn. They're going feeding, they're heading to feeding. They'll stay back a ways and watch them and listen and keep smelling the air. You know, the doe's moving into the wind, so the breeze is coming back toward them. If that doe runs into trouble or reacts because it snorts or raises its tail or danger sense, this ammonia-like odor starts pouring from their tarsal glands, they're going to smell, the buck can sneak away without being in any trouble. Vanish from it. The bucks do that all the time. So you're doing kind of the same thing, but getting around behind there and taking advantage of other hunters. And if you think that's not fair, well, I wouldn't worry about that. That being a really good hunter is what it is. So anyway, so those are some things you should know about. But keep in mind too, when you're going downwind, you can do it without alarming deer, as long as you're not displaying hunting behavior when you're doing it. And you move along at a moderate pace, head point straight ahead. You might be looking for deer signs along the way, you're looking ahead like this, but it's fine. And of course, you're not going to see many deer in the middle of the day anyway. Most of them are going to be bedded, you know. And where they bed, they're hard to see. Because they're not moving and they have good camo and they always like having cover for that. So one kind of cover or another. So keep that in mind. So you can move downwind without danger of ruining your hunting area or your hunting in your hunting area. And also, you can move downwind and take advantage of other hunters. Then, even amongst your own group, you can't all hunt downwind of each other. And you don't need to, You can have hunters upwind of you. Like I mentioned when talking about my gentle nudge hunting method, an upland hunter, his scent is going to be spreading out downwind over a triangular shaped area. It gets wider and wider. No matter how high you are in a tree, that scent gets to the ground within 25 to 50 yards. It down there, because it spreads this way as well as this way through a cone shaped area. It's bigger and bigger. It's down there. Well, any deer that wanders into that area between you and your buddy over there, say 4 blocks away in another tree stand, they're not going to come this way because they smell you there. They're more likely to move toward your buddy down there. So you're helping him. So there's lots of ways that using downwind, the idea of what to do downwind when hunting whitetails can be to your advantage. So keep this in mind. So anyway, there you go. That's a great tip. Keep that in mind now when you're out there scouting and trying to decide what to do, and like give yourself some alternate directions to get to special stand sites, things like that. And it gives you a big advantage, different wind directions. But if the wind direction is wrong, don't take a chance, don't go on that stand site, but think about maybe an alternate way to get there. I got an alternate plan this year, and I can't wait. Got to get up scouting and start getting ready for that. I got an alternate trail I'm setting up that not only goes to a special stand site, but goes to, I think it'll be 2 for sure, stand site. And can't wait to spend time getting that figured out just exactly where I want it to be. So, but I think it's going to really pay off. Every time we come up with something different, a new stand site we've never used before, a new trail we've never used before, it almost always pays off. It almost always enables us to take them into a tour bus. So something new might be an old idea, an old way of doing things, but something new that catches the buck in a place where he doesn't expect you to be because you've never been there before is really a smart thing to do, especially if his signs are in that area. So you got to find the signs first. Okay, so there you go. Now, one more thing. Today is the 29th of August. A bunch of you guys are going to be hunting bears in a few days. I wish you luck, all of you. I hope all the tips I gave you on bear hunting will pay off for you. And you guys are thinking about scouting now for rifle seasons. You guys that are going to be getting bow hunting pretty soon. This will all pay off for you too. So anyway, believe me, if you do what I tell you, it's going to pay off. And it might sound screwy at times, but boy, there's a lot of research, a lot of time that went into all of this. No screwball ideas here. And I'm not trying to sell you any products, any lures or turnips or anything like that. I'm just trying to help you become a better hunter. So with that, thanks for watching, guys, and see you again soon. Be sure to visit my website. Here's the link. Here you'll find links to my blog posts, my Twitter account, my YouTube account, my Amazon store with links to my ebooks, my son's eBay store, a money saver if you're ordering from Canada or other countries, my website bookstore, and much more.